Hey everyone, welcome to Keto and Crime. Today I'm finally going to do what I've been asked to do by many subscribers, many patrons. I'm going to give my opinion. Mine opinion. No one else's, not the legal systems, not anything about the Daybell case, what I think happened. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, a soda, sit back, let's talk. Again, this is my opinion, no one else's, but I'm going to lay it out for you right now. So let's hop into it. Okay, let's go back a couple of years to Lori Vallow. As we know, she lived in Hawaii a few years with then husband Charles. They adopted his nephew, who was JJ. She had her daughter Tylee by her previous husband, Joseph Ryan, and they're living in Hawaii. They're doing their thing. Well, we know that she was highly into the doomsday version of LDS. Not traditional LDS, but just the very cultish doomsday version of that, even though I think most religions have an element of doomsday, but she was like really into it. Let's say the girl had a fetish for it, okay? So that's what she was into. And Charles Vallow, even though he did love her, was probably a little creeped out about that. And so they started having marital problems. She left him. She tried to take money. He then suspected that there was a lot of shenanigans going on, and just before she got involved with Mr. Daybell, he wrote his life insurance over to his sister for the benefit of JJ. Fine. I think he probably kept that from Lori, and so when they returned to Arizona around the time she got involved with Mr. Daybell, and Daybell himself, as we know, because we read his autobiography, he is someone that really, because of his supposed family connections to the hierarchy of Mormonism, of LDS, he really thinks he's something. He's some sort of messiah. He's some sort of chosen one. He's a seeker. Kind of like, Jason Mao said about Lori and Melanie Gibb in that podcast we listened to. So he really thinks that he has the power to see people that are quote unquote dark. I think because he met Jason in the Avow network, and Jason had a history of dealing with movies that contain things like zombies. He started equating zombies to people being possessed or going dark, and he really thought he had the power to recognize those people. And so, based on the fact that he was a celebrity in a very small section of LDS and the Avow network, I think when Lori, because of her fetish for end time prophecies, when she started reading his books, if you can call them that, really got sucked into it and really started seeing this person as A, another seeker, and B, somebody that I can use to be as great as I think I am. So that's what happened. And then we all know that, of course, Charles was standing in her way, so she had Alex, who was probably fighting homosexual feelings. He'd gotten involved with 𝗬𝗎𝗪. He had already been kind of a semi-hitman for Lori. He was like, there was something very strange and semi-erotic between, I think, Lori and Alex. I'm not saying that ever happened, but he had some strange attraction to her and used him as a hit person, both on attacking Joseph Ryan and then later on killing Charles Vallow. Now, being that Alex was the enforcer, that's why Daybell allowed him to stay around. And Daybell and Vallow, Lori, were actually, I think, co-lead brains in this thing. They really saw themselves as something more than they were. So did Melanie. They saw Melanie Gibb and David Warwick as kind of the prince and princess of their king and queen kingdom. So they were kind of grooming them to be both disciples and to take over and to help them co-rule, under them sort of thing. So think of king, queen, prince, princess. I think they were grooming them. I think people like Mao just reinforced their greatness in their own mind. I don't think Mao had any direct connection to any of this. And then, as a result, of course, Melanie Pawlowski, Lori's niece, also got caught up in it because she had a great admiration for her aunt. And there was another disciple they were grooming. And they sought to cut out everybody in these people's lives that did not agree with them. So we talked about, so Brandon Boudreaux, Melanie Pawlowski's ex-husband, he had to go because he saw right through them. They attempted to kill him. It didn't work, but they tried. They also went through the whole thing of telling Melanie that her children were dead. They had gone dark. They were dead. And then, of course, she finds out that's not true and then goes to, Brandon's parents' house in Washington or Utah and tries to see her kids, gets put in jail. Alex, the enforcer, ever that loyal lapdog, bails her out, brings her back, and then she gets in with Ian, who's sort of indifferent to it. So they let Ian live, and then he sort of maybe pulls Melanie out of it just a little bit. And then we shoot back to the other people that they have to eliminate because they know they're full of hogwash. And that would be 𝗙lie. We know from Melanie's testimony that Lori and 𝗙lie were already butting heads from the time that 𝗙lie was a teenager, because 𝗙lie was no longer willing to be Lori's free babysitter and sacrifice her entire life to take care of JJ, who did require a lot of care. She was wanting to get out on her own, perhaps attend college, and that was entirely in contrary to how Lori felt she should be worshipped, as well as Chad. I'm sure she was also giving Chad issues too. And so they started floating the idea that 𝗙lie was dark. And we had those phone calls where 𝗙lie could be heard screaming, "No, Mom, not me." The same with JJ. I think because JJ was autistic and very hard to handle, and the fact that 𝗙lie was pulling away and no longer being the number one caretaker for JJ, I think they saw JJ as an obstacle, and they also said he was dark, as far as the testimony from Melanie Gibb and David Warwick suggested. So what did they do? They had lapdog Alexcox deal with the children. And I think we know what that means. And the fact that in the excavation of the Daybell property where JJ was found near the pond, and he was found whole, wrapped, I think because JJ wasn't as obstinate to them as perhaps 𝗙lie was, because he was autistic. I mean, he was what he was. So I think they took a little more care with him, if you can take care if you're doing that with somebody. Whereas 𝗙lie, I think Chad is the one that took out 𝗙lie. And I think he had so much rage for her because she probably was pushing back that he chopped her into little pieces, and that's why she was found like she was in the pet cemetery. And then moving forward, I think because of their attitudes toward homosexuality and things like that, I think they felt Alexcox might be too much of a loose end, and I think they had someone, perhaps Zulema, beef him up with some, heavy metals and deal with him. And now he's been cremated. We'll never know. And of course, the other innocent party in this, Tammy Daybell, I think she also knew her husband was full of crap. She loved him, but I don't think she worshipped him the way that Lori did, and the way that Lori built him up into his mania. I think Tammy tried to keep him a little more settled, and I think they attempted to have Alex take her out. When that didn't work, she would slip something that caused her death. And that's for twofold: to get them out of the way, just like with Charles Vallow, to get them out of the way, and also to bring in that sweet, sweet insurance money, because that's what Lori and Chad are all about. Their own power, their own money, and getting rid of any inconvenience they may have in life. And that's the short and sweet of it. I know this wasn't a very long video, but people have been asking me what I think happened. I don't know the methods. I don't know, only based on the evidence, an approximate time that it happened. But that's my opinion on the story, and I'm going to be interested to see how this turns out. I know I've said a lot that I don't like when cases get highly publicized because it does create an issue for defendants getting a proper trial, but I really hate these two. I hate them with every, I don't have a predisposition for hate, but I hate them. And so I don't care. I'm going to talk about it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think happened down below. I would love to have a discussion in the comments with you. So let me know what you think down below. And I'll see you real soon with another video. We'll be into our Killer Kids series this weekend. So stay tuned for that. And until next time, keto and crime.